Bill, you and I will have to just respectfully disagree. I think if we've never presidential candidates talking about people getting shot in a
of course
he called for a military tribunal against her.
It's
like again, he might not do it, but you don't want to normalize the notion that that's the kind of language.
What he talked about.
That's the kind of language that we want to have.
No, but that wasn't. But this is the problem with. I'm sorry, the far left, is that.
I'm not on the far left, but I don't think we should have presidential candidates
you're not
talking
going to
that
drag
way.
me into Trump derangement syndrome.
What's happening, everybody? On a recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher and his panel discussed the election and what Democrats should be reflecting on and learning from after their soul-crushing defeat. One of Bill Maher's guests, MSNBC's John Heilemann, couldn't help himself from misquoting Donald Trump in an effort to disparage him. With that said, let's watch Bill Maher, in a rare moment of rationality, destroy John Heilemann's worsening Trump derangement syndrome. Better late than never, I guess. Let's go.
Bill, you and I will have to just respectfully disagree. I think if we've never presidential candidates talking about people getting shot in a
of course
he called for a military tribunal against her.
It's
like again, he might not do it, but you don't want to normalize the notion that that's the kind of language.
What he talked about.
That's the kind of language that we want to have.
No, but that wasn't. But this is the problem with. I'm sorry, the far left, is that.
I'm not on the far left, but I don't think we should have presidential candidates
you're not
talking
going to
that
drag
way.
me into Trump derangement syndrome. It's not deranged to be upset and worried about the real things, like he could be a fascist. He wants to be. But if you're going to think I'm going to chase every rabbit down the hole for the next wait a second, for the next 4 years, you're wrong. I'm not going to.
I'm not telling you what to do for the next.
That's who he is. No, I'm just telling you. I did this once. I'm not going to do it again. That's who he is.
Okay.
If he talks about Arnold Palmer's dick, or he makes it, or he says a bad word, or says something that everybody thinks like there are shithole countries, I'm not going to lose my shit about it. I'm just not, because that is deranged. That's who he is.
Hey, if you like watching videos like these, subscribe. Let's get back to the video.
Like what he says.
Partly
that people
because you
with.
won't talk about the other side, the people who should be looking in the mirror, the subject I'm trying to get to. We know who Trump is.
Well, this is
we agree on him.
Sarah says it's basically the failure of Democrats. I'm saying I'm trying to give more credit to Trump. Trump is saying things that people obviously identify with in this country. I mean, you don't win the way he won overwhelmingly across a bunch of groups like this without having much of a turnout game on the basis of there's something that people love about Trump.
Except that internationally, the same thing has happened. And Donald Trump-type figures have risen internationally as well.
Okay.
You can't say that Donald Trump is a solely American phenomenon. And so I think that's why I think that the Trump team could really overread what this election was about. They want competency. They want someone focused on the important stuff, crime, as you mentioned, instead of in San Francisco, where they were more focused on renaming the schools than they were on reopening the schools.
Yeah, all that stuff. But what I hear from the usual suspects, I'll call them on the left in the media, is just, again, not looking in the mirror. It did
no, they
not.
think
It
they
did
didn't
not
call him Hitler loudly enough.
Or that just a lot of people texted me things like, well, you can't fix stupid. Sorry, that doesn't work with me. Yeah, you're stupid because you're not thinking about the bigger picture. You're not thinking about maybe we did something wrong. Maybe we're not perfect. It's like a relationship. You got dumped. America dumped you, and they're all like, you don't know what you had.
No, it's
yes,
worse.
they do. They know what they had, and what they're saying is, we know what we had, and you're a mess.
It's the dude who got dumped and was like, she was a lesbian anyway.
Right.
Let me preface anything that I'm about to say with, I completely understand they all have TDS, okay? I'm not saying they don't. There are just a couple of moments here, which I think you can agree with, where Bill Maher sounds like the voice of reason, a sentence I never thought I'd say before. As a matter of fact, each guest has said something relatively based in this short clip we just watched. But for sane people, it's kind of like being on an emotional roller coaster, because here's how I was reacting to this. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Like, they take a step backward, and then they take like 30 steps back. So first of all, to the bald dude here, John Heilemann, when Bill Maher calls you far left and you say, I'm not far left, it might be time for some self-evaluation, maybe a new career, but who am I to say? It's like a Jeff Foxworthy joke. When Bill Maher calls you far left, you might be far left. I know that was stupid. You don't need to tell me the comments. So after I watched this clip, I had to look up both of these guests. The woman on the panel, her name is Sarah Isgur. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. She resigned right around the same time Jeff Sessions did. If you remember, Trump and Sessions were having beef because Sessions recused himself from the whole Russia collusion investigation, and Trump felt like, you're leaving me in my time of need. It's pretty reasonable. So I think she was loyal to Sessions and resigned with him in solidarity, I guess. But I did a video yesterday of notorious rhino Anthony Scaramucci, and I don't know if this woman's on that level, but I do notice a pattern. The pattern is Trump fires you or you resign under him because you don't like something he did. Now Trump is gaining power again. He's probably going to be in office, but he has no spot for you in his administration because you already quit on him or he fired you. So just like Scaramucci, after she resigned, she was kind of in limbo. There wasn't really a place for her with the Republicans anymore because she quit. Kind of a blemish on the old CV there. So if you saw my video with Scaramucci, so I resigned from Donald Trump's DOJ. Now I'm kind of in political limbo. How do I keep myself relevant and what's my next career move? Guess what she became? A political commentator. I know. You guys didn't see that turn coming, did you? But that's the move. So now where is she welcome with open arms? Every single left-wing news station, because she can be the token Republican that criticizes Trump. And to be fair to her, I watched this whole episode, and she definitely rips the left for some of their strategies during the campaign and how out of touch with ordinary Americans they are. So I don't know the level of her disdain for Trump, or even if she has any, but the pattern is still there, right? You're a Republican forever, then something happens where you're not really welcome, but suddenly you become more liberal and the left-wing stations love you and your career can go on for another 4 years. So when people say, oh, all these people that used to work for Trump say he's a monster, you've got to look at all these cases on an individual basis. There's always more to these stories than just this broad statement. Well, 40 of his ex-staffers say he's Hitler and blah, 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 blah. That's a way sexier headline than let's break down each one of these and understand the dynamics of the relationship. You see what I'm saying? So I'm getting off topic of the point of the video. But the point is John Heilemann, who actually makes some good points here and there, but does have severe Trump derangement. The election's over and he's still saying, well, Trump said he's going to shoot Liz Cheney in the face. No, he didn't. What are you talking about? And that's when Bill stepped in and actually, relatively for Bill, forcefully said, I've taken the bait on this stuff in the past and I'm not going to anymore. We all know Bill will live the rest of his life being Trump deranged, right? But what he just did there by acknowledging, hey, I'd get all emotional and worked up in the past over things he said, I'm not doing that anymore. Because from covering this stuff, I know that one of the fundamental characteristics of being a Democrat is to never take accountability, never show humility, never do any self-reflection. And again, being very clear, Bill still has severe Trump derangement syndrome, but at least he realized what we've all realized before. They're just words, man. And this gets back to something I've said probably in my last 4 videos now. Everything they're complaining about, even Bill, is he said, not he did in his previous 4 years as president. And in the same breath where I'm about to compliment Bill for calling this guy on pushing BS things that Trump never said, Bill goes straight into, I'm not worried about this stuff. I'm worried about, is he going to be a fascist? Is he going to be a dictator? It's like, oh, Bill, you couldn't have just let that one breathe for a moment and let us all give you your kudos. You have to make me address that and say you're insane. Anyway, I know this is shocking. I just have one more clip from this whole interview where, once again, Bill is the voice of reason in the room. It's a scary world when that's happening, isn't it? Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Is that right or wrong? Is it a mandate?
Yes, the Harvard Institute of Politics student president came out with an op-ed today talking about how they weren't going to forego democracy for the sake of nonpartisanship. Set aside that they might have wanted to talk to a lawyer before saying their nonprofit was now going to be a partisan organization. But the idea that you're going to be pro-democracy by not giving a voice and allowing other students to hear from speakers that belong to the party that just won through a democratic process, like that's where the left has a problem. They become the party of the faculty lounge. They're so condescending. They're so arrogant. And again, not to beat the dead horse, the whole point is to be exclusionary. They're not accidentally exclusionary. It's the mission statement.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw Kamala was on Saturday Night Live, as the losing candidate often is. It worked so well for Hillary. Let's run that back. And it just made me think, I'm sure every single member of the Saturday Night Live cast was a Harris supporter. But what if one of them wasn't? What if one of those cast members was for Trump? Would they have felt comfortable saying so? I really don't think so. They would have had to keep it to themselves. That's not a good place for us to be. I remember when, and that happens even more on the left. And I remember when Elon Musk hosted, and this is well before he was a Trumper. This is 3 or 4 years. He was just the richest man in the world. And a number of the cast members on Saturday Night Live, like, they didn't want to deal with him. They didn't exactly boycott, but they made it plain. And I was thinking, really? You have Elon Musk on your show for a week. You could talk to one of the most interesting, brilliant people the world has ever produced, even about this issue that bothers you so much, that he's so rich and lots of people aren't. But no, you don't want to even deal with him. That's what I hate about the left. You're brats. You're brats.
Look, I know some of you are going to watch this and say, Bill Maher can't do any right, all the damage he's done in the past. I agree with you. He's riled people up unnecessarily, spread lies, criticized unnecessarily. But I have to say, even though the things that they just said in that small clip are things that I assume all of us agree on, as far as not excluding the other side from things. I mean, Bill at one point talked about being exclusionary of the right and that Harvard Institute of Politics. And he, as they were clapping, he said, it happens more on the left. Well, you're right, Bill, but it's more like 99.9% on the left. I just did a video the other day talking about how the right is more open to differing opinions. I mean, look at Trump, who's supposed to be the biggest narcissist on the planet, right? At least that's what his critics say. During his campaign, who did he bring into the fold to help give him guidance and advice? RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan. Not that Joe Rogan's giving him advice, but these are all ex-Democrats who've just seen how crazy the left has gone. So fundamentally, they're not going to agree on everything. Personally, I'd be insane to say I agree with everything that all of those people stand for. However, if that's not evidence that Trump is willing to listen to dissenting voices or people he disagrees with on certain topics, but thinks they can be really strong for his administration on other topics, I don't know what is. And also, I thought about something. Everyone calls Trump a narcissist. I get that, I guess, if you've seen 10-second clips throughout your life of Donald Trump. I mean, if you've given him a close look whatsoever, or you watch the Joe Rogan interview, or you watch the Theo Von interview, he's a good guy, and he certainly doesn't come across as a narcissist. And my whole point in saying that is, and I'm far from a psychologist, but I think narcissists believe that they know better than everybody about every topic. I mean, I don't think it's a characteristic of a narcissist to bring in other people, A, that you know aren't going to agree with you on everything, and B, maybe stronger than you in certain areas. So that's what a good leader does, right? You surround yourself with good people. Each one has strengths and weaknesses. Maybe I'm crazy. Let me know in the comments, but I just don't see a narcissist doing that. I think a narcissist wants to bring in B and C players so that person can always be the smartest person in the room and the loudest voice in the room. Again, let me know what you think. And finally, on a personal note, he talked about Saturday Night Live there. That place and that show has been affected by TDS as bad as any news outlet, as bad as any newspaper, as bad as any individual. It's literally like it was the most contagious disease in the history of the earth. Someone brought it in and it never went away. And the reason I say it's personal is, call me a nerd if you want, but when I was younger, I'm talking high school through college, through after college, I literally looked forward to Saturday nights because I just loved to laugh, man. My point being, it was like losing something that I'd loved my whole life the day I realized this isn't funny anymore. So it sounds corny, but I really felt like I got robbed of something that could brighten my day after a crappy week, something that I have fond memories of growing up. So I didn't mean to go that long on that tangent, but hopefully there's some of you out there who can relate to me. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching woke idiots get called out on their TDS, then click on one of the 2 videos that just popped up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. The end.